Shalom, shalom. Greetings to you all in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, wherever you are. It's a blessed day that the Lord has granted us. And why not take advantage of this day? Why not grow in this day? Why not increase in this day? Why not see it differently? And, we need this consistency of seeing what God is seeing, because the impact it will have on us is tremendous if we are inconsistent in our sight, in our perceptions. And today we see this, tomorrow we see something else. We are inconsistent. We are the ones who bring the imbalance and instability, all right, in our own lives. You see, the universe, the world out there is like a screen that which projects what is on the inside of you. So the outside circumstances are always like a screen. They are just screening what is showing you out there, what is already inside you. So you should not blame what you see on the screen. You should look at what we have in we should have a look into inside us. What are we projecting? We are the ones who are projecting what we're seeing out there. And you see, because it's the world, the universe, it's huge, we think like, that's huge. Well, but the small, as small as you think you are the one who's projecting on what you're seeing on the outside. But then the other part is that you are not doing it alone. There's also this corporate projection that even the people around you are doing the same thing. All right. And that's why it's important for mobilization, to mobilize many people into something if there's going to be a huge and transformation. But it begins with you. All right. So you are the one who is projecting out there whatever you're seeing, so you can change the writings on the screen by changing your perception or thinking. All right, and that's what we're dealing with here. We are reading in Matthew chapter 15, and we're still talking about the mind, how the flow of that mind will bring about, the change and will define what you see, what you have, what you carry. So there's something Jesus said, when he was talking to the Pharisees. But we're going to see this in chapter 15, verse 1. He says in Matthew, "Then from Jerusalem came scribes and Pharisees and said, 'Why do your disciples transgress and violate the rules handed down by the elders of the past? For they do not practice ceremonially washing their hands before they eat.'" All right, so this is a concern these are the Pharisees who are concerned. And what were they concerned about? Of course, Pharisees were always interesting because they would focus on that which is not important, and the things which are important they will ignore. So this is one of the points they brought before Jesus Christ, and said, "What do your disciples transgress and violate the rules handed down by the elders of the past?" So it sounded, relevant, and it sounded also important, because they're like, we have the rules which were given to us, all right, handed to us by the elders at the past. In every culture, people tend always have to obey, to follow the path of the elders, uh, to observe the ordinances, the laws, the rules that were established by the elders. All right, and no one has to question or ask. On one way, okay, on one side, this is okay, because indeed, I'm telling you, there are things which they saw which is fine and people have to follow. But also there are some things that needs to be changed. All right. So we see Jesus here, and they are coming to Jesus and they are asking him, why is it that the disciples are not following the rules that were given by the elders of the past? So, and they went on saying, for they do not practice ceremonially washing their hands before they eat. So the issue here was washing their hands before they what? Before they eat. So this, if you heard what the writer is saying, is ceremonially, because they are not doing it because of hygiene. It's not the concern is not that now their hands are dirty. They should wash their hands to clean themselves before they eat. That their concern was the ceremony that was observed here. And indeed, if you see the ceremonial law in the Old Testament, you realize that yes, they were given these things to observe, and the reason will be one. They had to observe these things for the sake of sanity, and cleanliness, and not to cause or to propagate diseases among them. So they were given certain laws to help them have this hygiene. That was the purpose. And so during their journey in the wilderness, there are certain things they had to do, because they didn't have, they were not living in a city whereby they have access to many things which can be found in the city. So on their way, they were given certain laws to observe, and they didn't even realize that was the purpose. So when you study very well, you realize every law is given for a purpose, and these things had to operate in them for their good. All right. And so in this time now, in this period of time when Jesus Christ was here, normally they would have understood why the laws were given to them. But the Pharisees were not easy. They were always questioning everything, and they had a certain rigid mentality. They were not ready to hear from anybody to help them correct their interpretation and perception of the things of God. But here they came then to Jesus, and Jesus was also always wonderful in the way he dealt with them. He tried to help, but they're always stiff-necked. But here, this is what we have. He says, for they do not practice ceremonially washing their hands before they eat. So, all right, so this is what I'm saying. It would make sense if they really wanted to preserve, to help them to not to be contaminate certain sickness, diseases, because they are eating with dirty hands and so on and so forth. To them, what they were preoccupied with was the rituals, and the rituals meant to them were so sacred to them. They didn't even care why the rituals were given to them. All right. It's also tradition. So they were just keeping it for the sake of keeping tradition. They never understood what was hidden or why that tradition is given to them. In the first place, to find whether it's still needed or fit even in that time, or it's expired, or they can replace it with something better, or even to have the meaning itself that would help them to know what to do about it. So they're asking Jesus, wait, why are your disciples transgress and violate, the rules? And you know why? Because they were eating without washing their hands. So this is the answer from Jesus. Verse 3 says, he replied to them, and why also do you transgress and violate the commandment of God for the sake of the rules handed down to you by your forefathers, the elders? This is amazing. You see, they were saying that the disciples were violating the rules that were handed down by the elders of the past. And Jesus is also asking the same question. It's like, okay, he replied to them, saying, why also do you transgress and violate the commandment of God for the sake of the rules? For the sake of the rules. So they were accusing, they were blaming, they were doing, they were not in order. They were not even for what the rules meant. They were just keeping the ritual for the sake of keeping it, traditions for the sake of keeping them, because they were supposed to understand what those traditions meant, so that they may explain it or observe what that or stick with that which these traditions meant. So he says, commandment of God for the sake of the rules handed down to you by your forefathers, the elders. Why? Why? That was the question. Why? Why are you not observing? You are transgressing and violating. Jesus then gives them a good example. He says, for God commanded, honor your father and your mother, and he who curses or reviles or speaks evil of or abuses or treats improperly his father or mother, let him surely come to his end by death. So Jesus is quoting a law that was given to them, and he's now going to tell them how they violated it. He says, but you say, if anyone tells his father or mother, what you would have gained from me, that is the money and whatever I have that might be used for helping you, is already dedicated as a gift to God, then he is exempt and no longer under obligation to honor and help his father or his mother. I'll have enough time to explain this, but the violation was not with the apostles, with the disciples. The violation was with the Pharisees. And the dangerous part here with the Pharisees, they didn't want to know what that meant. All they wanted to do was to observe whatever works for them and, change certain things that they may suit what they want. All right, so it was in their minds, whatever that suited their minds, whatever that suited them, they misinterpreted the word. They misinterpreted the law, and they changed everything. They were now influencing everybody to believe what they believed. This is questionable. Jesus is like, wait. Who is a hypocrite here? Because you know certain things and you've changed them, and now you have the guts to accuse the disciples, to blame them. Shalom.